apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. Chapter 11, Life on Campus. We have with us this evening our two reviewers, that is Setumo, Chiloane, and Thulani, Thabethe. I need to give context to these two colleagues because they have a history with the organization, but I'm going to give them time to do their justice to that background. Well, we're halfway, we're almost halfway reviewing the book, chapter 11 of the 21 chapters. That is almost like a halfway and a half. I've requested that we need to get more students today to come and listen to this chapter because it really speaks to real issues that we are dealing with when it comes to education. Maybe let me start very slow, but before we go deeper into discussions. How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks. I'm on top of the world. Yeah, no problem.
You're alive with me today. So wonderful.
I'm so happy.
Thulani and Setumo, can you hear our very well?
Yes, perfectly clear.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Mai has just joined as well. Mai, you can connect from that side if you can, but otherwise you are welcome to join me in the studio. We have enough chairs. Yeah. Perhaps before we go into discussions with our reviewers, it's been a journey. It's been a long one.
It's a long one, but very interesting and very encouraging one. With a bright light in future.
Last week we were talking about a high school.
Yes.
We're talking the crunch time.
Yeah, we talk about the crunch time, and today we're talking about the campus.
Yeah, today we're talking about.
So things are increasing as we go.
We're growing. Yeah. So I think Ndate Ramutla is on route from somewhere else, and he will be listening on the public line. I don't know whether he's coming to the studio, but we'll hear from him. He said he will listen online. And Ndate Maimela, we have Waluhon today joining us.
Welcome, Bauba. Nice to see you.
He used to be with us online, virtually on the other side.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's with us face to face. Greet the listeners. We have our two reviewers here ready for us to start, and then I'll ask Bauba to introduce the topic, and then the colleagues will introduce themselves and start the show.
Good evening, listeners. This is Mai Mutubadze. And good evening to you, Thulani and Setumo.
Good evening.
Welcome. I'm so excited today. Yes, we have Bauba in the studio today. You know, we've been hiding such a handsome face. Today we are live with him. How nice. Yes, my name is Mai Mutubadze. I'm a creative director of my company called Motor-Based Media Projects. I'm also a creative director for a platform called Monday Blues on a Wednesday at Tirana, which is a platform for young artists. We promote young artists. Every month we have a session where youngsters come and perform their poetry, their music, their comedy, and yes, just to help those that are trying in the art field to get just to give them a step ladder, to get to the higher heights. Yes, and today we are reviewing chapter 11, Life on Campus. What a beautiful chapter! I've gone through it, and I hear that Thulani, you are very into that as well. I'm gonna just leave it to you guys to introduce yourselves now.
Over to you. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't Setumo and Thulani, hold it there.
Okay.
Good evening, the Spice Pohole. Welcome to this evening's show. It's very exciting. We are moving in big strides. Last week we were talking about high school. We were talking about the lower level of education, the lower level of intellect. Now we're advancing to the second one. We're now getting to the varsity. We're in the campus tonight. So you're welcome. As I've mentioned, I'm in the human capital management and development for so many years, and I'm a very close member of the COMETSA. I'm an associate member, and I've been involved in this review right from the day the book was launched up to tonight. So I have got wealth of knowledge that accumulated along the way. And something that really I like about the reviewers is that every night when we have got this thing, we really give them a party to enjoy and to share with us what they've learned over the different chapters. And so we are welcome. We are excited to have the two of you this evening and to give us your review, the introductions, the body of the review, and then the conclusions that you came across. Enjoy this show. This is your show. Nobody's going to disturb you. You relax and you enjoy the show. Thank you very much.
Yes, that was very nice, Spice. Can you get Thulani maybe first? You introduce yourself and just tell us all about you and familiarize yourself with the radio, greet the listeners as well.
Okay, thank you so much for the platform and greetings to everyone. All protocols observed, the founder of COMETSA, Mr. Semtsima, and everyone working alongside him. So yeah, my name is Chiloane Thabethe. I was born in 1989 here in Johannesburg. I'm 34 years old now, and I'm an alumni of COMETSA. And yeah, just a short description of what I do. I'm a physical education coach and LO teacher at Spark Schools, Brandley. And I'm also a community football coach where I live in the community of Hillbrow. And yeah, it's an honor to be part of the show and looking forward to reviewing something that's very relevant to me, life on campus. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And can we now give Setumo also a chance to introduce himself and say hi to the listeners as we carry on?
Good evening, listeners, and I thank you for inviting me to be part of the review of Chapter 11. My name is Setumo Chiloane, better known as Tumi. I am the director of my own company. I'm a business consultant. I'm an executive coach, and I am an accredited training provider. My educational qualification, I am an MBA graduate from Henley Business School. And about the author, I met the author Semtsima in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken, between 1986 and 1987. We met at the UNISA examination venue at Nasrec. So we have been friends, we've been colleagues. We worked on a number of projects together. And I have been on many occasions being part of COMETSA, and still today I am part of COMETSA. Thank you.
The listeners are saying, please speak closer to your microphone so that they can hear you. But we hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Okay, I'm glad tonight that we have got the guys who have been to the campuses with a lot of experience. So we are going to have a very enriched broadcast tonight. So let's sit back, relax, and enjoy yourself. if each one of you can just get into the subject and share the experiences that they had at the campuses and so on. We'll ask questions here and there just to clarify some other issues. So enjoy yourself.
Okay.
And just try to talk into a microphone. The colleagues, people are complaining that they can't hear you.
How is it now? Is it closer or
much better?
Much better. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, and then testing 1, 2. Is it fine now?
It's fine, Thulani.
Okay, so
Chapter 11, Life on the Campus, present similar experiences with the people of my generation. When I say people of my generation, I'm talking about during the dark days where we were just encouraged to go to school, and we with limited opportunities. We never had an idea what we wanted to be, and until when we arrive at tertiary institutions trying to register, you find yourself not exactly knowing what you want to register for. With a trial and error similar to what I've read about Sam Tsima, that he actually wasted 2 years at a campus. You know, of course, being directed to do what was not of his choice because of the sponsor. The sponsor was sponsoring that course. So he found himself doing that. With myself, I had a similar experience, and luckily, maybe because I met Sam and changed my views quickly. I met him at exam venue at UNISA, and then obviously you just explore with people around you, talking about careers. There was not much that was available for us like today. And when I discussed with Sam, I'm sure he might have done the research on transport economics and logistics, and he influenced me that I actually ended up taking those courses, going to the then RAU, is Johannesburg University now, and getting my diploma in road transport and logistics, and that is how I started. Also looking at the opportunities that time that were not available. Remember, those days there were some reservations of jobs where you can do certain qualifications, and other qualifications were reserved for people of color. So for us, it was difficult, and also without any mentors and coaches. So the journey was very difficult, and it was just a trial and error throughout. And I'll give my co-review, Thulani, also to just say something on that.
yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Stum. I think, for me, life on campus actually made me see my journey as well, and when I go to varsity, and so true to what you are saying. It's a new experience, it's an eye-opener, and you just go into a new world, and you've got no mentor, no coach, and you are experiencing a lot of things for the first time. And similarly as well, I just had the love for sports, so I didn't even know how to go about choosing a degree in sports. I just chose the first thing that appeared and had sports. And my first qualification was BCom Sports Management, only to find out that I didn't actually like some of the modules. And I didn't have a mentor as well, so I just took it up. And I had to keep on changing up until the third year as well, And only then my degree took shape, because I went from BCom Sports Management to BA Sports Communication. And I think also what I loved when I read the chapter is how Mr. Sam Tsima loved the open friendship and communication he had with his friends, where they talked about everything. I think that spoke richly to the friends I made on campus, where I enjoyed those conversations. I enjoyed, networking and socializing with my friends. And also, he speaks about how his love for football, consumed him so much that his studies lost track. And when I look at myself as well, I was so passionate about sports and love for sports, and to a point where at some point I lost track of my studies because I was just consumed about sports, because I was just involved in a lot of sports projects. And yeah, I think for me, those were the key things that I really related well with in terms of what's relevant to me. But also, it was interesting to study the politics of what Mr. Semtsima had to go through, And fortunately, we are the next generation that never had to go through where you needed to produce identification to walk around Johannesburg. And, to me, when I read the story of how he nearly got arrested because he didn't have an identification up until he produced a student card, it just makes us appreciate how the previous generation fought for us to, access these opportunities. And yeah, and there's just a lot in the chapter that was really, appealing to me because of my sports background as well. And looking at the mentors Mr. Semtsima had in football, right? But then he didn't have mentors in the academic arena. But also he intentionally, got along with some of the personnel that was working on campus, where he would go to them whenever he experienced challenges. And yeah, I think there's still a lot that I took from the chapter, but I'll pause a bit for now, just to allow everyone to chip in as well.
Yeah. Just before we continue, if you can just let I don't know, there's you, Thulani, or Setumo, the members of the house, if they can just be a little bit far from you. We can hear the conversations in the background. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Just attend to it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, the two of you. Sorry, did you want to add something before I?
Yes, I just want to add on the work-life balance, where Sam, the author, actually, he was more, he battled to strike a balance between sports and academic studies. Mm-hmm. So, and most of us, we find ourselves in a similar situation. But on my for me, it was not sport, but it was also the work-life balance, because we also studied while we work over the weekends. I was a waiter on many occasions, and you find yourself trying to make money to pay for your studies, and as well trying to make sure that you pass. So the work-life balance was a very serious issue. And also, you've got friends, you have to socialize, you've got to go to parties as well as a student, as a young person. So the striking the balance was also the reality that most of the people dropped at the university level.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting that we all talk about having the balance and having more focus on education, having less interruption from studies, from sport, from friends, from parties, and all this. So that is the life in the campus. Eh? we have been through that, and you also have got some other friends from the other side of life, and they also consume some of our times and so on. So that's very interesting. That sounds quite normal. The other point you have mentioned is about your networking and so on and so on. Do you want to talk more about that one?
Yeah, I think from my side, I just, when the author, Mr. Semtsima, talks about how he enjoyed the conversations he had with his friends and how he would go back and connect with some of them. I think for me, That was some sort of like informal education on campus, but it was enriching, to know that as young people, you could just meet and talk about anything and about everything, and you could bounce off, ideas and socialize about all the nitty-gritty in your life, and touch base on just a lot of things, whether it's politics, social relationships, our academic career, our love for sports, life in general, how the country is and what's our role in the country, to things like where do we go after university, knowing that sports is not that well recognized in South Africa. For us, those conversations were key. What's our next step when we graduate? And thank God for me, luckily enough, I was associated with COMETSA, so I even started working at COMETSA and applying some of the things I was learning, because I was involved in sports as well in COMETSA, part of the development team where I was mentored and I was groomed by Mr. Zima. So those networking, relations were key, even after post-university, where we could still reach out and, touch base with each other and help each other navigate through life after campus. But just in itself, those conversations were so sustaining on campus that you looked forward to them after your lectures, and with also the time we had before we would write examinations and before we'd go home. So for me, those conversations were key, and just those relationships that we formed on campus.
And also to mention that networking and socializing is a skill. Remember, during our times, there were no WhatsApps and even a cell phone out there. So people like Sam, I think he was very strong and skilled at that. And he will connect people wherever he is. And I remember at one stage to Germany, and he kept the contact even when he was there. At one stage, he sent me a business plan, handwritten, about 60 pages handwritten. So that itself is a skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something that was very common in your introduction is you are both encouraged to go to the university. And you also both said, well, we did not have guidance, we did not have mentors, we did not have coaches. We just went to the university, we were encouraged to go there, and so on. How did that impact on your campus life and your studies as we went on? I know you mentioned some here and there. Are there any other specific things that people should actually be aware of, that so that when they go to the university, they must actually be prepared?
Yeah, I think for me it's key, because I chose sports because of the love and passion for sports, but love and passion does not give you knowledge and direction and guidance. So I remember one of the friends I also met when I was still playing football in COMETSA, his name was Shane Mutala. I was just telling him that, when I'm done with school, I just want to study sports, anything to do with sports. And so I was, aiming very a bit lower. So I said to him, even if it's sports management at college, that would be okay. But he then pushed me and said, push for something higher and go to university. And so that's when I started researching, a bit of research on what the universities around here in Johannesburg offer. And the first thing that popped was BCom Sports Management. And because my grades allowed me, I just applied for that and they took me. But then I was not informed about the courses, which is key. Students should know all the courses that they're going to do even before they go to university. I think that's the biggest thing they should know. Know all the modules you're going to do, what semester, what year, and know what they entail. Because for me, when I go to first year and I found out that I'm going to be doing statistics, and at that point I hated anything to do with stats, and I just, even though I did well in maths, I wanted to nothing to do with numbers. I just wanted to see myself on the field, development work, coaching or playing. So at that point, when I saw that BCom Sports Management at statistics, that was a whole semester wasted, money wasted, because I dropped that module and a lot of other modules. I remember industrial psychology, and there's a lot that modules that I dropped in BCom, and I just now started focusing on the sports modules, because I decided that I'm going to change to another sports qualification. So I just focus on the sports modules. And then the second year again, I went into BCom sports corporate communication. But then also that had other modules that I didn't really want to do. Only the third year I had found the modules that align with things that I'm more passionate about, which was then PE sports communication. So for 2 years, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money, textbooks were bought. And because of not having guidance and mentorship, that was a lot of resources wasted. And, that money could have been invested into something much better, even towards my career or the family as well. So for me, I think once students know what they want to do and they have a passion of what they want to do, now there's a lot of information. They just need to research all the courses they want to do and try and align themselves with mentors of people who've done those courses or people who are graduates of those courses. It will be key for them. It will definitely save them a lot of time, and it will give them a lot of knowledge and guidance and wisdom. So I think for me, that's the biggest thing I would want to share with anyone who's a student or who's going to take up further studies.
Okay. But that's very interesting, because as you have mentioned, this it's really about preparation. That even if you've been encouraged to go to the university, you need to do a lot of preparation so that you have got everything in the kitty that you're going to need for your further studies.
Just
Yes.
there is still some concerns from the listeners that they are not hearing very well. So I think if you can try and speak into the microphone of whatever equipment you are using, that will help. Even the colleagues here with me in the studio, if you speak, just speak closer to the so people can hear. And please keep on sharing the feedback with us. If many of you are not hearing, please drop that note so that we can keep on reminding the colleagues to speak a little bit louder into the loudspeaker, into the microphone, sorry.
Sorry for interrupting you. Thank you for raising this point. This is really something that the listeners will actually, especially the young students, will take home with. That when you go to the university, you must prepare. You must get some people who can give you guidance. You must have do some research in terms of which courses you are going to do and which modules are going to follow, how the sequence, and so on and so on. So I think that's what Sam also went through, eh?
Yeah, I think also today's generation, they need to appreciate that the information is easily available. They've got internet, and most of tertiary institutions, they've got open days where people can go and ask questions. During our times, we didn't have all that, and also, like I said, opportunities were very limited. When you go there, even those institutions, they've got targets, how many students they can take. For instance, accounting science, we have very few, and sometimes maybe only one of a black person, So we had information, not the easy way, and with no coaches, with no mentors, but we made, we even try with trial and error, we eventually arrive somewhere,
Yeah.
So today's world is much easier, and it's for people to go out and get information.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Something that is also coming through here is almost a conflict between sports and studies.
Just before you come back, make sure that you stay away a little bit a distance from your microphone. We can hear you breathing into the microphone.
Oh, okay. Now I'm too close. Sorry.
Yes, now you're too close.
Sorry. Okay, I've moved it a bit.
Yeah. Over to you, Tilas.
Okay. I think the host was just still narrating something or saying something.
I say that both of you actually raised one issue concerning the conflict between the studies and sports, the academic work and sports.
Yes.
I'm not bringing yet the parties that we will have over the weekends and so on. But it's one of the curriculum thing where people concentrate either on sports or concentrate on sports and then to disadvantage of academic work and so on and so on. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, for me, I mean, as a sports person, I think the two should support each other, because sports in itself, has a lot to do with discipline, focus, and, hard work. So it's a matter of, how do you find harmony? I don't want to say balance, because sometimes balance pushes you to almost reach for perfection where you want 50-50. It's a matter of how do you find harmony where when you look at your week, you've got a scope of how many modules you are attending that week, and where is your free time, where is your rest time, and where is your study time. And then if you've got classes in the morning, your focus should be on those on your classes in the morning. And then once you've given your all for those classes in the morning, it's a matter of a bit of time socializing with your friends on campus, and then you just prioritize. Now for 1 hour I'm going to do one sport specific thing on that day, whether it will be just if you whatever sport discipline you are in, but you just focus on 1 hour on where you're going to do something, and then you go back home, you refresh, and then you just go through whatever you were doing that day on your studies. But then when it comes to writing your assessments, you want to free up that week in terms of less of sport engagement and more study, and not completely going off sports, but your harmony or your balance will strike more towards your studies than your assessments. So you'll be, if you were training 3 times a week, you'll just train once a week, and you let your coach know, I'm writing assessments or exams this week. And then once you're done with your exams, then you now can go back into your normal sports program or schedule. So it's a matter of just always realigning your focus and your priorities every week, and always communicating to yourself, telling yourself what's a priority. So if I'm writing tomorrow, right, I will free myself up today so that my focus is on, preparing for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think also if you look at it, Thulani, I think it's still a challenge. If you exercise for healthy lifestyle is something else, but if the author here was a professional soccer player.
Yes, yes.
The trainings are scheduled not at your timetable. The professional players will go to training during the day while the classes are on. So I think there is still a challenge if you want to look at it to be a professional sports person and also studying. It's a huge challenge.
And that's where mentorship and coaching, I think, for me comes in, because you look at someone like Pesitao. I think Pesitao, when he was still at UJ, he was studying at UJ. So he was a full-time Sundowns player, but he still graduated with, I think he did become sports management. And when you read about his story, he used to take books with him, in the bus. He would go through his modules and read. And that's why communication with the university is key as well, where they can send you or help you prepare when you are a professional athlete. Because a lot of athletes now, they do also take up studying on the side. So it's a matter of finding out how they do it and what the university can do to aid you or support you. And where there's a need, take less modules. I think once I got to UNIS and I was doing my postgraduate, that's when my experience of undergraduate kicked in, where there would be times, because I was a full-time employee now, I would take 2 modules instead of taking all 5. So those things, so that's why I'm saying finding harmony and allowing yourself to to find something that will support you. Because if you are a full-time employee or a professional sports player, you don't want to neglect that and just go all out on your academics, but you also don't want to neglect your academics and go all out on sports. So it's a matter of finding those mentors and realigning things to help you be successful.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You have used two important ways there. One was alignment. Another one is harmonizing the two, the sports and academics. And the way you explain it is so enriching, and I think people are learning from that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And now let's come to some other stuff. You talked about parties, you talked about politics, you talked about being arrested, and all this is.
I think politics was actually part of the life of any students. I don't know now, but during our times, because everything was political. Where you stay at a campus you will be separated from other people of color. And politics becomes an issue. If you also referring back to the case study in chapter 11, where the author himself was nearly arrested for having not a student card saved him, but there were students who were arrested at some stages, on many occasions. So politics, there was no way you can disassociate with that. It was part of the life at the campus.
Yeah. No, that's.
I want to ask Thulani, because Thulani, you were not a resident on campus. You were I don't know what you call it. I know there's day scholar. What do you call it? Student.
Non-resident.
Non-resident. And at the same time playing football that was not connected with the university. And staying with your parents. And the football was also scheduling its own programs. Not only football, but classroom programs. How did you find that, and where does it show up in your current role as a physical facilitator currently? And how did you benefit from such multiple things that you had to balance?
I think for me, the biggest practical skill that I grasped from COMETSA was discipline and organizational skills, where you organize your life based on the priorities and your commitments. So I think for me that was key, because when I was on campus, right, I needed to organize my life based on the fact that I'm going to campus. But then as soon as I was done, there was a shift on the fact that I've got training, or when I later became a junior coach, I've got, coaching commitments. So it was always about organizing your life and just those organizational skills, because I remember at COMETSA, we had a program where we would train and then go and learn, at some stage we were learning Italian and go for, classes on whether it's German or whether clinics or whatever programs we had. So all of that in my subconscious, what was downloaded was the organizational skills, because also I think kids or young people learn best by looking at people who are implementing. So for me, my life was based on always building on what I was seeing from you, Coach and Mr. Semtsima, because I knew you were a full-time worker. You had started the organization COMETSA. At the same time, you were also doing studies, I remember, at Gibbs. And so for me, just seeing how you organize your life and how disciplined you were, and communication was key as well, because you had so much commitments, but also delegation. At some point, you entrusted us as young people to lead the football team and start, looking after things like administration. So there was a lot to grasp that was practical, and also is still relevant and practical to the things I do now. But yeah, to sum it up, it's communication, organizational skills, and and discipline.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. I've not heard much about parties. I know I've been to the campus myself in those olden days. And then we also had some parties, eh?
Yeah, I think I remember one or two in my career at UJ, definitely.
Share it with us, eh? What happened?
Yeah, I think young people are always socially relevant. So for someone who was never full time into parties, when you go to university, you just wanted to explore and just be social and network with the people that you are close with, which these were people that were doing the similar courses. Some were doing sports psychology and sports management. I was doing sports communication. So whenever we were done writing and there was an event, around campus, I remember there was one or two that we said, you know what, let's just free ourselves up and go and just socialize with other colleagues and whatnot. But I think those events as well, they sort of make you aware of what you want in life and what you do not want. Because after those experiences, you always reflect, is this a life I would want to live on a day-to-day basis? And you always reflect on terms of how did you benefit from that event? What did it take from you? Is it worth it to do it all the time? And you quickly learn that it's there's no problem once in a while, as long as you know your limits, you know how to still be responsible, but you also awaken to the fact that it's not something you would want to do every time, because outside social life there's responsibilities and there's a career and a future that you want to pursue. So you don't want to be too much involved in those, but also you don't want to not experience it. But the biggest thing is being responsible, I think, and making sure you are accountable. So when young people do those things, I think they should have accountability partners. They should always reflect and see for themselves what are the benefits of engaging in those things all the time, and how can they be responsible whenever they engage in those social and party life at university, of which there's nothing wrong with it as long as you're responsible.
Yeah, self-discipline, I think, is what we need to emphasize here, because many people never recovered from that.
Yeah.
They dropped out, and others, young pregnancies and all that. So young people need to really have self-discipline, because that can really deviate you from what you want to achieve.
Yeah, so something that I actually thought we should touch on, and you have mentioned this, you mentioned the question of independence, that when you get to the university, you've got that independence, but at the same time, you're talking about discipline.
Yeah. It helps if you associate with good people, because if you associate with wrong people, that's where things will go wrong.
And it's often the first time you meet people who are not coming from your hometown. Exactly. You don't even know where they come from, and within 1 month, they are your friends.
Yeah.
But this thing of discipline, or rather independence, I mean, part of going to the university is actually to grow your faculties, is to grow your social life, you grow yourself, and you need the amount of independence.
Yes. I just want to hear from you guys. When you got into university, I mean, you spoke about parties, but I didn't hear you speaking about what's consumed at these parties.
When you become independent, away from parents, experiencing your own life, life without being, with your parents. Obviously, you are going to try those things: smoking, drinking, and also girlfriends. it's your opportunity to explore. That is why I say that is where many people never recovered, because that lifestyle, that lifestyle became what they graduated at instead of real academic world.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if I may ask again, when you went into a varsity, was it your first time tasting the waters of the sinful waters?
The freedom where
Independent.
the freedom where you can go to sleep without having to knock at night, where they can see that you are missing some steps,
Yeah.
But it helps self-discipline and people that you associate with.
Yes.
Yeah. But if you get wrong people, you will definitely go down.
Mm.
One of the points that Sam highlights in his book was his desire to get to a white university like the Witwatersrand.
Yes.
That it was his ideal, it was his desire to get exposure, to go there, and so on. Do you want to comment on this?
Yeah, Wits University was one of the best. I mean, we were subjected to the University of the North, Fort Hare, and all those were black universities. But Wits University has maintained a standard that all of us wanted to be there. You know? So, and it was not everybody who's accepted there, to be honest with you. So if you find yourself there, it was really in the Premier League.
So it's a privilege.
Yeah.
And they attracted very good scholarships.
Yeah.
From us. That was also.
But why I'm asking this question is, like some of us come from Sobenga, Sutu, Venda, and Zonga. That's what Sobenga means. Eh? It was just built for those people, Sutu, Venda, and Zonga. Now you go to the Witwatersrand.
Yeah.
What they change?
Yeah, that's transformation, eh?
From the village to find yourself there. Yeah.
Yes.
And also self-discipline. I've known Sam, he has always been a disciplined person throughout. Throughout, So to be self-disciplined, it helps a lot.
No, the other reason I'm asking or raising this issue is all about getting or having decided for more open and broad exposures to life. I mean, if you go to Turfloop, you go to Ngoya, it was somewhat limited. And here it was a young man from Riban saying, I want to end up here. I want to be next to the planetarium. I want to see the stars. Are you there?
Yeah, we're listening.
Yeah, I was saying, I'm just appreciating that there's somebody from that rural area in Kukune say,
Yes.
I want to go to Vets, I want to be next to the planetarium, and so on. What should our current children or students do about that type of?
I think it's about knowing where you want to be, and where you want to go. Nothing can stop you to achieve what you want to achieve. It starts as a dream, and you follow that dream, and then you achieve it. You don't want the second best. And most of us, we are just happy with the second best. As long as I'm at a university, you don't really mind which one. And at that age, during that time, to really even know the difference, some of us we didn't even know the difference. So it was just a university. You find out the difference when you are already there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest word is focus, and that's what students need nowadays. There's so much happening in and around the modern society, and I was telling this other scholar of mine who's now in grade 9, because I teach grade 6 and 7. So he came to one of our events, and he was just giving me feedback about how some of the his peers are now smoking, drinking, and they are not doing well at school. And I said to him, life will always have those things that happen in and around us. And the question is, can you stay focused? Can the parties happen? And can those things happen? Can you be in that social environment? Can you now and then get yourself into a situation where you went to that party, but can you bring yourself back to focusing? Of which is something which I took, when the author, Mr. Sentsima, says, after 2 years, and when the Mobi Oil couldn't renew his bursary, he found that independence at an early age can be risky as well. But then he was too focused on the vision that he was never going to allow whatever situations had happened for him to give up. He still found a way to get back and focus. And that's the biggest thing, that when you go through life and navigate yourself through life with the vision you have as a student, can you bring yourself back to focusing? And that's the challenge, with all these distractions, can you come back and focus on the goal that you set for yourself?
That is true. To really come back without even a sponsor on your own now, and come back and make it. Yeah.
I was just going to raise this question. Perhaps you can also advise the younger people who are coming up that losing a scholarship, losing a bursary means a lot. It's like last week you were talking about the crunch time. You find yourself no more anything from Mobile Oil South Africa.
Yeah, it means a lot. That's why I say at one stage I was a waiter. I never got any sponsor. So I would go to school in the evening, I'll go and serve as a waiter. Yeah.
Yeah.
We left with about 5-6 minutes before we transition into the next segment. I've made notes of the things that you have mentioned that I would like us to unpack a little bit more with some specifics and references or guidelines, because one of the key things is at the end of this show, we want to have a takeaways that could help other people. So if you can think of the challenges you have mentioned and the opportunities you've raised that you will want us to expatiate a little bit more in the second segment, what will those be? I will add my list when we come back, and my colleagues as well here, because as we are reflecting, we're also looking forward.
Yeah, one of the other tricky issue we did not cover here is politics.
Yeah.
When we come to that second thing.
Yeah. Politics on campus.
Politics
or associations on campus.
Yeah, politics on campus. What is currently happening, how that affects studies, and how it develops leaderships and so on. These are pros and cons. So we need to look at those as we carry on.
But there are also some point that saved me was an association on campus, which was a faculty-based, the ISAC, which was an association run by students for economic students.
Okay.
So we have churches as well on campus. You have many other associations, and how do you decide which one you go to?
This is a very interesting evening, and I'm glad we're getting the flow from all sides. So it's very, very interesting.
And the other thing that we should really go into, maybe when you go into religious and political aspects of campus life, we should also kind of reflect on their influence on you, because like Prasem just mentioned, that it's not only politics, you've got even sports, but the most important thing is reflecting on the influence that it had on you. Yeah, well, we are now left with 4 minutes. Yeah,
maybe a bit of reflection. I'm checking we haven't got input from the side of the listeners, but maybe just to reflect on what we've covered, and so that we can put it nicely together when we come back. We can address that. I have my list here.
Yeah, no, the other one that we also did not touch is accommodation.
Yes, accommodation.
Accommodation, traveling, and so on. Because this evening we want people, especially the youth, to learn, take something home after this presentation.
Yeah. Do you have any other points to add, Thulani? And
yeah, I think work-life balance. We need to really talk about that as well.
Yes. Okay. And also, because I like what you say, and I saw on our WhatsApp messages, somebody did mention, you mentioned that the other thing was that Sam was connecting people, and somebody just commented and said he still does. So I think we should also talk about that and carry that through as well, on how do you connect, how does he help you connect with other people.
He's worse now with technology.
No more handwritten.
Yeah, I think for me, I just reflected when you said maybe is there any other point that I would want to sum up or reflect on. I think it was key for me when you said that it was you learned and grasped so much from the Wits football structures, which were way ahead of their times, and they were inclusive, and all the knowledge and the experience and what you got whenever you went back to Maripane Scientist Football Club, you would impart that to your community, of which that I think is key. When we learn, we need to go back and empower those who are less fortunate or less privileged to have access to such information. Because I think for me, part of why I give back and do the voluntary football coaching is because I know how much that helped me as a young person growing up in the community where there was so much going on. And so I think, the learning and giving back is key for me.
Exactly. I think this is what comes through the whole book that Sam wrote, that I think when we learn, we must think of plowing back to where we come from.
And share
and multiply the knowledge, and so on.
Yeah. Last point from you, Mike.
For me, it's not much about the point, but it's about how you mentioned that Thulani, that you kind of participated in sports. I would like you, when you come back, because we are running out of time, just to kind of elaborate on that. Which sport activities did you do at varsity? But we are running out of time right now.
Yeah.
We'll do it next.
We'll bring that.
Yeah.
We've got quite good points to work on. Yeah. Stay in the studio, Thulani and Setumo. Don't go away. While we're saying goodbye from the first segment, we saying to the listeners, please stay with us in the second segment. We're going to make sure that point by point that we raise, we suggest how the current students can actually deal with those issues. I hope the podcast will become very helpful for many people. We will be back. Welcome back, Tulas. Thanks for coming back. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you very well, Coach.
Okay, beautiful. So, yeah, over to Bauba. I have my own list here. We're all gonna bring the points that you have raised and try to. What is a problem statement? I would like us to maybe to structure a little bit, but if I'm too structured, please tell me to behave. What is a problem statement, and how do we think it should be resolved? Over to you, Bauba.
Yeah. Instead of going through the whole list, I suggest that we go through each item on the list until we've exhausted everything, and so on. And welcome back. Before we had the break, we mentioned something, and what is very paramount in my mind was the question of how do you choose your academic, or how you make your academic choices as to which degree or what studies to do, and so on and so on, and how important that is. I know we covered in the earlier session where people had to change degrees and so on and so on. But I think let's hone on the importance of making the right decision in terms of making a choice as to what you need to study.
Yes, and welcome, Setumo. Welcome back. We're just Babu was just introducing our second segment and how we're gonna go about. And he mentioned something very important that we also have to dwell deeper into. Oh, we lost Setumo again. Thulani, there's Setumo back again. Hey, Setumo. Are you back, bro? Can you hear us, Setumo? I hope Setumo will hear us now. Are you okay? Can you hear us, Setumo? Yeah, great, Setumo, great. Yes, but was just mentioning about the campus life that we spoke about. Actually, he says the most fundamental thing is you know, having to choose at campus life the subjects and all that. And Thulani also mentioned in the first segment that at that time you don't have a coach, you don't have a mentor. So that's how Boba will want us to start there, because he doesn't want anything that is
Yeah. That is why we are here.
Yes.
That is why we are in the campus.
Yeah. Can you start with you, Thulani?
Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah, I was saying, I think we need to highlight here and stress the whole important points of making choices of academic studies, the fields that we choose, the subject, the modules that we choose, and any other additional things that we also choose, the choices that we make to enrich our fields of studies. Any comment on that one?
Oh, okay. I don't know, Mr. Setumo, do you want to go first while I still process?
Okay. You're welcome. This is our party.
The choice of a degree is very crucial because, like I said, during our times, we just were being motivated to go to school, and elders will say, "Don't be like us, go to school," but you don't really know what you are going to study, and with limited options. So I see these days from grade 10, they make choices of subjects at school. And this subject help them to eventually choose a degree, and to have an idea what you are going to do. So during that time, and if you read the book chapter 11 as well, the author there, he just found himself with a choice of a degree that is not what he want.
Mm.
he find himself having to do it because it's what the sponsors want. Otherwise, he will lose a bursary. Yeah. So these days, people need to do more research because information is easily available. And at school, from grade 10, they get guidance as to which the subjects they choose and what options they have.
And something that I find happening now, universities have what they call career, what do they call them? Where they go to, no, they go and put up somewhere at schools and sort of like career fairs. They call them career fairs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Career day.
Yes.
Career day where they invite people to come in to say, this is what you offer. You can go to this department. In this department, you do this, you do that, and so on and so on and so on.
And it's an opportunity to ask questions and to really be sure of what you want to study.
Yes, yes.
You and I used to, we just rocked up.
Yeah, you just take any degree on the list.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't even know that that's not the degree that you should choose. As this is what you really want to do. You know, you'll find a person wants to do IT, but is taking some subjects that don't correspond with that.
Exactly.
So this career fairs, they help on that at that kind of time when you have to say, okay, because I want to be a doctor, you can't be a doctor but studying commerce. You know.
So at what point? I mean, isn't that arrive at making choices when you are already on campus just so late? I mean,
it's too late when you are late. That is why I say from these days I see from grade 10 they make those choices.
Yes.
Yeah. The other point that I've been challenging or rather thinking about is the whole question of career guidance at the high school before you go to the campus. Where especially in the rural areas like where the author comes from, the teachers have never been to an industry or anything, and you talk about going to do engineering. Something's very foreign here.
That's why the point that we raised before we went on break, the point around volunteerism, Thulani, I think we were touching on that, referring to me going back but it was more football. But I think there is a need for students on campus during vacations to learn to volunteer in the communities. You know, if I had somebody coming to do that while I was in high school, I'm sure I could have benefited a lot from that.
And the other thing is exposure. You know, when you are in urban areas, it's easy to kind of fall in love with engineering because there's an engineer near you. It's easy to fall in love with, you know, there are certain careers that you truly have to fall in love with it. And to see it, you know, to see somebody doing it, then you kind of fall in love with it. But what Brasem and you Thulani said about going back to I think that's where it plays the most important role, because then you yourself, when you go in there, you become that role model. You know, those that I'm sure there are many soccer players in the rural areas that play soccer, but they don't know that they can take sports management like you did.
Yeah.
And also, if I look at it, it's a societal issue. It's a very broad career guidance is very broad, and we find ourselves, you know, doing the same degree most of the time, and because of our children have no wide guidance. On
Yes.
So I think it really should start from the Department of
Education.
And education.
Yes.
The career guidance should be part of the subject.
Curriculum. Yeah.
The basic education should actually make provision for that.
Yes.
So that the children go up and That is very, very true. But
So now, what are you saying? I mean, those rural areas must do if they have teachers who teach them, but they're supposed to teach them career guidance, but they themselves are not exposed.
But as a teacher, you will know different options for children from grade 10 to say, okay, if you do science subjects, these are available degrees for you.
Yes,
If you do commerce, and if you do, so that many children, they are not exposed to that.
But is career guidance and career choices or choice of subjects the responsibility of teachers alone?
Not really.
Maybe I can.
But if it
Yeah.
but if it comes from a level at a school level, it will have more power.
Yeah.
Because now is what we produce now as a society, as a country. This is what other countries produce. There's a gap.
Let's sit on this a little bit. I'm asking this purposefully. Again, isn't that getting career guidance in the high school too late if you want to link your career choice with your talent?
Yeah, I mean, just to come in there, because I teach life orientation, and part of the curriculum, we have a chapter where it talks about the world of work. So it's just a setting that my students or learners come only once a week for life orientation, but world of work covers career fields. So we talk about one, what's important when you choose a career. Is it what you love, or is it driven by money? And and we discuss that in broad, because in as much as you want to do what you love, money makes a difference. So we also talk about the money aspect of it, but also it talks about the different subjects that are involved in different careers and career fields. And that is just the start at the foundation level of exposing learners into career fields. But where this year we went as far as doing an aptitude test where the kids will decide, when they are given 4 fields or 4 careers, which one would they prefer over the other. And so that slowly guides them in terms of what they would want to choose. So it will have administration outdoors, it will have science, it will have art, and then they will just tick 2 that they like, 2 that they don't like. So it's a career aptitude test. I think I'll share the link on the WhatsApp group so that you can associate on the for the listeners as well. So I think for me, this to start very early, because even us knowing about what modules and courses we're going to do at university, when we get to university, it's too late. Now there's a lot of information on YouTube. A child as young as 12 years can start knowing what they will be doing in university for that particular career choice. So I think it needs to start very early, linked with the talent and the skill sets of the child. So if a child is athletic, we need to link administration into the sports career, and we need to link management into the sports career, so that the child knows that being athletic also involves other aspects in that career. So yes, you're athletic, but you still need to know the administration of an athlete and all of that.
Okay.
What some said, at what stage? It should be really at the early stage. What Thulani is talking about, they should be those scientific tests or aptitude tests. They should be right at the primary level, so that people will know their strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
So then that suggests that therefore parents are actually critical in this process.
Yeah.
The danger of parents being part of that, the parents will choose a career for their children, and that's dangerous.
Yes.
Wow, I never.
Yeah, well, that's true. It's another learning point where because of prestige.
I want you to be a doctor. I want you to be a teacher. So it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I want a prestigious qualification.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes they want you to be a doctor because their neighbor's child is a nurse.
So basically then,
Yeah, or himself, he wanted to be a doctor and he failed.
Yes.
And then now the children must do that, must achieve that dream.
Yeah.
so Ntate Chiloane, am I right to say that you are therefore implying that perhaps the children, the parents must just sponsor the process? That's where then we call for youth mentorship and youth coaching.
They must guide, exactly, guide and not choose a career.
Yes. More especially on the point of talent, where you see your child having talent. I think that's when you have to kind of, lean towards that and sponsor that, support that.
Advise and
Yes.
But am I right to say that? But this is a professional work. This is not just everybody's work. So somebody who understands how to assist
Yeah.
for a child at that stage.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the important thing, guys, we're tackling this subject is about choices. How do we choose our degrees? How do we help our children choose the fields of studies? What resources are available for them to make those choices?
What to look for.
What to look for, and so on and so on. And I think we covered it very well. People are taking some good stuff home tonight.
Yes. Am I right to say that the conclusion is to say that this is a very specialized field of guidance? So therefore, the introduction of youth coaches and mentors very early to specifically tackle things like this is actually something that the parents should look at or schools should look at. It shouldn't necessarily reside inside the school. If you don't have a career guidance teacher, it doesn't mean you are stuck. You could actually find somebody from the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's key because stats recently were released that kids in grade 4 cannot read for understanding, but those kids were reading about things that they are interested in, things that they can associate with, and things that they can see themselves having a career in. That will also improve, that social ill that we're facing. I know myself, when I have to read about things I'm not interested in, I get bored and I don't understand. But the moment I read about sports articles, I stay online reading about sports articles almost the whole day. So, it's key that we studied early on, and I do agree, it's not for everyone. There should be specialized career mentors in the community, in the schools, in universities, in the working world, and that gap needs to be closed as well.
There's quite a number of inputs here. I'm going to ask Mai to read them. I don't know how you're going to handle them because there's quite a lot and we don't want to miss them.
Yes.
We want to read them all and then we'll make notes and respond to them.
Yes, we've got quite a few WhatsApp messages. The first one is from Subulela Vilagazi. She says that Sam was a person that takes initiative. He wasn't afraid to approach people, e.g., getting into the Vets football club, etc. And the other thing about him is that he has resilience. And Happy Maponya says Sam was also a risk taker. To study a BA Farm degree without a basic physical science at high school. What were the basic requirements for that degree? And then Sikhalemezi Linky Pachad says career guidance is a clinical psychological activity. Education sector needs to partner with medical for offering to be effective. Mahlatsi Letswalo says, I conducted research in career guidance in my honors. And my view is that career choices needs collaboration between teachers, parents, and informed learner. That's powerful, eh? And Professor S.T. Rataimani says, at times there is fear of asking questions. Coaching or guidance must also encourage students to feel free to ask questions, particularly if they are stuck in their studies. This may mean having a mentor early at university or college. Wow.
Yeah, well,
You want to reflect on those because these are variable.
Yeah, well, rather than going through each and everything, I think the main purpose here we're looking at a point And the point was making choices.
Yes.
So we have got all this valuable information coming through, and it has been noted, and I think people are taking something home. It is all about making choices of the field of studies, what subject to do, and so on and so on. So
the point, I think one key point that Mahlatsi mentioned,
Yeah.
I think this is fundamental from her research.
Yeah.
Sometimes we talk things, it's just what we think.
Yes.
But she said
Yes.
from research, she finds out that it needs collaboration between parents, teachers, and informed learner.
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. I like that. Yes. Yes.
That's very good.
So if I may to ask you, Thulani, would you say in choosing what you're doing today, were you an informed learner who had kind of teachers or a good coach that put you where you are today?
Yeah, with me, the passion for sports dates back from being an active child in primary school. But then I needed associations, I needed opportunities. And when I got to high school, I was actually not playing a lot of sports in my school. I was playing because it was compulsory, but my focus was with COMETSA because COMETSA offered a broad environment where it's not just about football, but it's also about what can I say, holistic development,
Yes.
where
Yes.
the mind is trained, and it's just that on itself, training the mind, to be broad and look outside just playing football. But and then because of the associations within COMETSA, where a friend then told me, don't just study sports in college, go to university. And that also in itself helped a bit, but he wasn't able to obviously offer mentorship. And then when I go to varsity, I could only rely on the networks and the social relationships I had around me. But there was still a need for, exactly what one of the listeners is raising, a need for a senior mentor, which is maybe then the educator, and a need for parents to be involved. Because my parents only said, we want you to be a lawyer, we want you to be a doctor, but you can study what you love. That's where they left me. Till today, my mom doesn't know my modules, doesn't know how they benefit me, how they give back to the community. So there is a need for parents to intervene in supporting. They may not necessarily be experts, but in supporting. But there is a deeper need for organizations to be involved, universities to offer that mentorship, and teachers who are willing, because not every teacher is willing to offer that mentorship. And in a practical sense, what I'm doing now with where I work. So it's a private school, and we as teachers are not allowed to then have the kids as outside contact, and maybe help them or do any business outside the school. But because the project of the football team I worked in is development, right? There are scholars who are good in football and may not have opportunities to be developed well in football. Recently, I offered one of the kids and spoke to the school that what I'm doing is a voluntary project. There's no profit. So can the child come and train with my team? Because I see skill sets in them to be athletic and actually take up sports as a career. And the mom and the dad bought into it, and they are supporting the child, taking the child to every event, to all the games. So in that in itself, the child is then getting, the right mentorship around him to be successful in just their early choices in being in sports.
Mm. Mm. No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, and I'm happy that you really reflected on that journey, because I think this will be very useful to other students out there that are listening. That sometimes you just need to follow your talent and get the right people that can give you coaching and guidance.
Great stuff. The next point that we captured here, and there are about 4 points I want us to put them under one category: work-life balance, networking on campus, and the relationship on campus. About 3.
What about politics?
we can bring yeah, I've got it as the next point.
Okay.
But I'm saying this one talks to the ability to connect with other people,
Okay,
which we
that's
put
fine.
together as a student being able to network and make friends, build relationships, and that way also address the issue of work-life balance. So if you don't go to the parties, you don't get to meet people. If the party is the only place where you meet them, you can go there and still not drink beer and make friends. Yeah, Setumo?
Yeah, I think the part of relationships is very, very crucial as well, because that's where choosing the type of people you want to, you want to achieve your goals with, it will come from that relationships. If you build relationships with people who party until in the morning, and that is going to be another result. So the part of building relationships at the university is very, very crucial. You're going to find people you align with them in terms of politics, in terms of religion, and in terms of what you want to achieve. So relationships, yes, I think it's
so at what point can we teach the young people the skill to making relationships? Is it when they are at the university, or should it also be part of development at high school?
At any age, because at the university, it's adults already, and people who have chosen their lives. At the early stages, you need to know people who you can align with, people with the same beliefs, But at the university, it's adults already. Those who believe in parties, you are not going to change it.
So that means there ought to be some activities and programs that exposes them to learn to build relationship while they are still at the primary school or in the communities.
Because what's going to help you is association. Who do you associate with? If you associate with people with drugs, and that is going to be the results of a drug addict, But at that stage, at a very primary level, you start to know, this person is bad, that one is good, You know already who will mislead you.
Yes. And the other thing, that I feel here that we are agreeing on is that somehow before you get to varsity life, you should have kind of having at least family members or within the community, having people that kind of mentor you, that hold you by the hand and say, this is the way to go, so that you can also be able to make your choices going forward. Is that what I'm here? Am I sensing the right connotations here?
Yeah. And sometimes you are self-conscious. I met Sam when we were very young.
Yes.
But I knew that this association is going to give good results.
Yeah. Yeah.
You make yourself, you assess the person yourself.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't want to lie. One thing I'm learning about working with young people, and obviously at a very young age now, is that young people learn best from each other. So it's also, wise of us to us or to challenge young people to be intentional in who they associate with and not necessarily choose for them, but they must be intentional. Whenever they are with someone, what do they see in that person that can take them closer to their goal? What do they benefit from associating with those people? And challenge themselves to make decisions for themselves so that they are able to strategically associate with people that they know that this person is the rightful person that can take me to the next level. I mean, it's a skill that some of us learn later on. For instance, now, I just recently met the general manager of Sekhukhune, and for me, it's key that I strategically be intentional in associating with him in terms of learning from him how to manage a football team, how to lead footballers, and how to support footballers. And so when I see him, I'm intentional in what I'm going to get from him. I'm not going there for a friend. I'm not going there for someone who's going to sponsor the team, but I'm going for the wisdom that I will get from him. So teaching young people that in every association that they find themselves in, whether it's university, Mr. Zima spoke about churches. There's a lot in university. They must always be intentional. What are they looking for, and how are they going to make sure that they align themselves with those people and know how to then move on to the next level? Even if they go to the party, just like Mr. Semtima said, they know themselves that, okay, for me, if I have just one glass of wine, but I'm going to that party to know that there's this person who, when I network with, I know there's a skill, there's something I'm looking for in them that will take me to the next level. I don't necessarily have to be best friends with them, but they can be a network of mine. I can start a business with them, whatever it is that they know will take them to the next level.
Okay.
Great. So we now know that they have to have this skill before they even arrive on campus. Now you get on campus, day one or week one, you are recruited to join a political party wing, which is very it's a common phenomenon now. I mean, that's where future leaders are, and as I said, Stu and I will say during our time, it was more protest politics. It was protest politics. It was not the political parties, and you knew that if you are visibly in front, you'll be the first one to be nabbed by the yellow mellow, the police. So today it's no longer like that. It's varsity politics is part of developing future leaderships, but you can be lost into it as well because it's also very demanding. So how do you strike a balance? I think that is, for me, this is very important. I never had that challenge, but I'm just imagining you went to Positive, you never really had any political ideology, and now you are a body, you are a number, you are going to add numbers to a party that you come into contact with, or your friend happen to belong to a party, invites you to come with, and then 1, 2, 3, you are active, which is not wrong, but it means that work-life balance that Stu was talking about, like in my case, it was football. For you, it's politics. You have to organize on campus.
And sometimes it's the effect of what calls for that organization or what that protest is all about. Sometimes you're also directly affected, which is why you're going to be part of it.
Yes.
It's not because you've been recruited or anything, but you are part of what
you choose to become part.
So you choose to become part of that.
It becomes a full-time activity.
Yes.
Join a political party.
Yeah.
So it's crucial there. How do you balance and pass your exams and also do well in your political party?
Yeah.
Or who mentor you? Because politics is also another dynamic.
Yes.
Who mentors you to
ultimately become a future president?
Yeah. I mean, universities, that's why they say life is at the university.
Yeah, I mean, that's what some of our current president went through that.
Yes. Anyway, did you have to learn at the UJ? Did you have to come across that? I know you were not staying there, but on campus during the day.
I remember a few associations, one of them being people who started church on campus. They would come and speak to us, and there were those SRC who would just come and address us on politics. But I think it's key in terms of, the association, and it goes back to the choices you make. Because I had chosen sports, so I found myself associating with sports people on campus, and none of them were interested in politics, and all of them were day-to-day scholars, so they were non-residents. And so the like-minded environment really prompted us to really be involved or diverge a lot on student politics, although we were aware those things were happening. Politics were there, I don't want to lie. I remember when we were about to finish our studies, we heard that there was one of the black ladies in sports wanted to do biokinetics, and when she went to apply, she was told it's not for people who, it's not for people of your skin color. I remember that very well. So those politics were there, but because of our interest and our passion in sports, that realigned us and made us focus on outside politics. And for me, because I was heavily involved in COMETSA, so anything with day-to-day organizations and associations, I wasn't really part and parcel of that because I already an association outside campus, which is why community engagements are key as well. That to give that sort of option for young people that I'm not only stuck on campus, because one thing I see with the university, it's a very different institution that somehow you think you'll be there forever. And people, that's where, scholars need to challenge themselves that outside university, from the first day when they come, outside, when I'm done with university, what does life have for me? And that vision and that focus should keep them aligned and always coming back to what their goals are. Because we sometimes get absorbed in the life of university and we forget that after graduation, those friends you won't see a lot anymore. Those associations, won't be there anymore. So, I think that's my 2 cents of sharing in that case.
Yeah. So what you are saying is that politics is part of, you'll find it there. It depends on your individual choices and how deep you want to participate and so on and so on.
Yes, and interest and intrigue.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the key here is Thulani was focused on sport and he never deviated from that. But if it finds you a loose cannon, you will battle to really balance.
Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful. I'm looking at time. I think before we wrap up, let's give you the opportunity to use the guidelines there in the last pages of the chapter to really reflect on what you as reviewers are taking away from this conversation, but also from your having spent some time on the chapter. I think there's some guidelines there. What was confirmed for you by this conversation and the assignment that you've been doing of reviewing the book, any aha moment or moments, the new knowledge and new insights you've gained by reviewing the chapter and having this conversation with us now. And if this was a takeaway, what will you put in your doggy bag to share with some loved ones or networks? And of course, we always want to know if this exercise has transformed you in one way or another. Any change in behaviors, practices. I know you're not going to go back to campus. You've been there already, but you might have to coach somebody or advise somebody. And maybe let's start with you, Setumo.
I actually wanted to make it very
just hold it there, that is Setumo.
I actually wanted to make it very specific here. And then the question says, well, the confirmation as to the importance of mentoring and coaching for students who are going to the university.
Yeah. Whatever input, link it with.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm watching time. That's why I'm a bit pushing.
Anything that you want to really talk about that one, we covered it, but is there anything that you really want to encourage people to know that?
Just go through those guidelines for the benefit of those who haven't read the chapter. And I'm just guiding time because I'm going to cut out. Any one of you that is Tim?
Oh, okay. I think what the confirmation here for me, which is very key, is a career choice. A career choice, I think students are still battling to choose the right career that they really want to It started with us, and I can see it continuing. I see it as a society problem, not just a once-off. So it is still there. With the aha moment, when I read this book, the author himself battled with the balance between studies and football. And football consumed more time, and as a result, the studies suffer. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. The new insight for me, I think, not really new. It's just also another confirmation that we from generations to generation, from our time, we went through the same experiences that was experienced by the author. We experienced the same, and I agree fully with what the author has gone through, and it is what we went through. Okay. Yeah, that is my reflection.
Okay. Any other new insights that you think other people need to look at?
Like I've said, my confirmation is a career choice. I want people to really take their careers very serious from early age, and also to be supported by experienced and professional people.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
From Chiloane.
Thulani, can you just give us your view in terms of a take home
Confirmation.
Yeah, the confirmation is, from the book, what really, stuck to me was, gaining independence at a young age. Too much independence at a young age can be risky. Yes, young people should be independent, but they should be independent with guidance, and they should be independent with mentorship and align themselves. Because I think I always say to the young people I work with, they should align themselves with the need for mentorship and guidance, because they value it more. We don't want to force mentorship and coaching in young people when they don't see a need. But that for me was key, that it can be risky, too much independence from a young age. And then, the aha moments, where, I think for me, the dilemma between your social life, your, associations, and your academic life, that can just happen too quickly and can really find you a bit unstable if you're not focused.
Okay.
And then, new insights and knowledge, I think it has to come from the book, when the author, Mr. Semzima, talks about, he was made aware of the politics of what he was probably ignorant of, that they were there, and so that insight, even though it's I see it as new, it does come back to me, because at some point I was also ignorant of politics and how they are so real in our world today. So I think that was a new insight as well, and knowledge in terms of what we are facing also currently now with young people. They still face those politics, right? Even though they are not as physical as they were back then, they are still there. And then my take home and new behaviors is the need to always continue align myself with mentorship and guidance, and in every environment where I find myself in. Now the work environment, like I said, now meeting the general manager of School FC, I want to align myself with just strategic mentorship, to just have that wisdom in and around me, and so I know how to be a better person and be a mentor as well to the young people I work with, because the one who is now playing for the football team that I work with at school as well, he always comes to me after training and asks me, Coach, so what do you think I need to work on? what can I do to improve? What do you still see that I need to still develop? So, just allowing myself to be a mentor to those young people who are, looking for that guidance. And yeah, I think that's my new behavior in practice.
Wow.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Beautiful. Let's hear the producers checking up.
Okay. I just want to say, it was very interesting, guys, discussing this matter. And for me, my confirmation is that, it really confirms that the brain works in a very kind of different ways, that sometimes where you're put, your adversity can become your best take out, because you are given a space where you find yourself being independent at a very young age. And for some, like Stuma said, for some it meant that they will be hooked on that life of being dependent and finding themselves being their downfall. But then for some, like you guys, it became like sort of a sword to face life and say, okay, now I'm alone. I'm independent. I'm at my own. I'm on my own. I'll take this battle, and you won. These are the kind of people that we say by confirmation is that yes, you have won. And if I was to go for my aha moment, it's when Sam in the book mentions that he had to, take his books wherever he goes for sports activities. And I think for me that just covers my whole kind of insight, and that's my take home. Bauba?
Yeah, well, this is very, very, very interesting. This is as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to talk more about confirmation. This confirms the title of the book. It says, if you are going to go to the campus, you need holistic, personal mentors, coaches, and so on to succeed. The other point is that it actually helps you to create networks. It helps you to create relationships and ultimately to your success. So what it's all telling us is that we need to do more to give opportunity to our young people to get coached, to be mentored, especially if they're going to go to the universities. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Prasem?
I'm looking at the notes from the listeners here. Eric says that it is also important to coach about employability in the career choice. I think that's the point we forgot to touch on. That you don't just choose studies direction. It takes you to a particular sector of the economy. In other words, the where you are professionally going to end in. Thulani, as he said, he studied sports because he loved sport, and I don't know whether you are lucky or what, but it's actually not luck. You are now working in a education environment, but focusing on sports. Am I right?
Yeah, physical education and also life orientation.
So that's basically the whole idea, that you what you study. It's not always the case. Many of us are not working in the areas that we studied, but that knowledge is very helpful. Wow. We are Stumo, do you still have any other point to say? Because we have 4 minutes to go, and I don't want to. How do people get hold of you too? I mean, that's also important, part of networking.
How
do people get hold of you to if they want to space you?
Yeah, I've got a website. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm also the social medias, the Facebook. And my company's personal development, career mentoring, and coaching.
So perfect, so appropriate. Thulani?
Yeah, with me, please feel free to share my email address. Anyone who needs, to also mentor me, or also who needs, to network or, connect on a professional and social level, you can share my email address with them, and then from there on, I can then share my personal contacts with them once I've touched base with them via email.
Beautiful.
TPS Thabethe@gmail.com.
If I may ask, Thulani, aren't you on social media? Maybe
I
Facebook?
am in social media, so Instagram, Facebook, I'm not as active.
Yeah.
On Instagram, and Instagram is where, and TikTok, but TikTok is really more of an entertainment thing.
But can you share your Insta?
Okay. He's on the group, so
Okay.
anybody wants to follow up with him, we can get it on. I just want to make some few announcements before we lose time. We are on the other side of the book. We've gone past the midway. We're going to the next topic, which is also quite very interesting because it's chapter 12, titled Vocational Training. Yeah, that's vocational training. And we are with Rita Rangwaga, also one of the founder members of COMETSA, who also went through vocational educational program at the German chamber called CATS. I'm sure she's looking forward to share with us what she found from the chapter. She will be joined by Shelara Mutla, and Leonard Mabuzo. We're bringing him back because the previous time he was here, he was most of the times on the road, and we might have not benefited a lot from his insights. If he's available, he has been informed, he's been invited, so it's an anchor for him. I hope we will be able to contribute because he's very strong on the human resources side, and he has a lot to share. So I want to thank the listeners for tuning in. As always, most of you who are online here are part of COMETSA, and we appreciate you being part of us. Yeah, thank you so much. That was COMETSA Radio Worldwide, the mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. Our shows are based on the principle called the idea. We inform and entertain, we develop and educate, we empower and support, we associate and network. That's the idea. Don't miss our kickoff show with Valley University of Technology Student Academic Development Support and Work Integrated Learning tomorrow, Wednesday, the 28th, 1800 hours with Dr. Eni Mulezani and me and Dolores Mashishi.